So if you spend any time on X or any social media, you've probably seen this idea of a civil war. Is America going to be in a civil war? In some cases, people calling for a civil war. Especially after the tragic shooting of Charlie Kirk, you would see many figures, even Elon Musk saying, almost invoking a war. I want to discuss that because this isn't a new phenomenon. I can remember when I got elected, actually, back in 2010, somebody coming up to me and asking me if I was preparing for the upcoming Civil War. In fact, probably since the Civil War, people have always said we're on the edge of it. But I want to talk, who's doing this? First off, I think most of the people that push this idea of Civil War are people that have never served, that have never seen combat. But more importantly, I think they're people that are searching in their life for meaning. And this idea of civil war to them feels like you're belonging to a side and you're going to go out and fight for those values. But I want to talk about what a civil war really entails. So a significant number of people that I see calling for a civil war, predicting one, I don't think would last very long. Just because Walgreens would run out of their insulin or whatever heart medicine they need, or medicine for their blood to keep their blood thin. In fact, that's the whole point. The creature comforts we rely on today will not be here in the case of a civil war. So I want to discuss some of those. Number one, I already mentioned your medicines. There's not going to be anybody working at the penicillin factory. So what happens when you get an infection, a sinus infection, say? What is that? Well, you probably won't survive it. What happens when, I don't know, let's say you want to turn on the lights? Do you think the people will be working at the electric company? Do you think the water folks will go to work? Do you think they're going to pick up trash anywhere? Think about this. Anytime, when you talk about a civil war, the reality is people have to go to work to get the things you want and nobody's going to go. So you want to call your grandma across the country, see if she's doing okay. Or you want to call your parents, see if they're doing okay. Well, guess what? The cell towers are probably down by now. So not only now can't you get your medicine, not only probably you have lost your lights, not only can't you get water, so good luck finding a stream or iodine pills to make sure that you don't get sick from it. Now you can't talk to your loved ones. Maybe you can drive to see them, right? Well, maybe for the first week or so, because there might be some fuel left in the country. But look, probably there'd be a run on the fuel lines anyway. So the idea that you could go get gas is just simply not going to happen. So now you're stuck to walking or riding a bike. But do you really want to walk or ride a bike any kind of distance in the middle of a civil war? Some of you have kids out there. Can you imagine what happens when your kid gets sick and you want to take them to the emergency room or the urgent care? Or you're concerned about a cough they have, or maybe they come down with something, and now all of a sudden you can't go to the hospital. Because I got to tell you, doctors aren't going to just go into work during a civil war. Maybe some will. Maybe some hospitals will be open, but keep in mind, they're going to be running off generators using fuel that probably they can't get anyway. You know, this whole talking on the internet thing and me recording a video, that's gone. I mean, if you think you're going to have access to the internet, that the fiber lines are going to keep coming, and that, the repair folks are going to come out and fix it when that gets broken, that's not going to happen. So now all of a sudden, for so many people that beg for civil war, that have their community based on the internet, they're going to be cut off from that community anyway. So you have people that are going to drop from not having the medicine they need. You're going to have all your creature comforts gone. And now what are you left with? You're left with the hope. The hope that you might be able to survive a fight against your fellow Americans. Because why? You didn't like their view on transgenders. Or because you didn't like that Cracker Barrel changed its name or changed its signage. You don't like the fact that, I don't know, all these different things you don't agree with. Maybe the tax rates are too high. Maybe they're too low. All of that pales in comparison to the discomfort and pure horror of what a civil war would bring. And guess what? At the end of all of it, let's even say your side wins. What are you going to get? Well, the rest of your life is going to be spent trying to rebuild what you had before the civil war you incited came. Maybe your kids will survive. I hope. You're going to know a lot of people that don't. And so ultimately, the differences that we have, that we think are just so big that we have to fight and kill each other, they're not that big. In fact, they're perfectly set for a democracy, for a place where people can disagree and fight their battles, but fight it at the ballot box or fight it in the Capitol. Not through gunpoint, not through killing, not through murder. The people that are pushing this either don't know what they're saying or they're lonely and looking for meaning, and this is it. Let's not fall into that trap. There won't be a civil war in this country because we're not going to let that happen. Because ultimately, at the end, the cost will far outweigh any perceived benefit. And by the way, by the end of that war, you won't care about the issues that you get so irate about today. Oh yeah, Fox News is not going to be on TV either, so you'll have a little detox. Anyway, everybody, right, left, center, let's lay off the Civil War talk. We can talk about the people that are talking about it, but those that are begging for it, cheering for it, they have no idea what they're talking about.